screen here. There we go. Get my stuff set up here. How to expand when everything is contracting, a brainstorming session to help your business think outside the box. You know, it was really interesting when all of this stuff happened that first week. As you know, we're in contact with a lot of businesses every day, every week. It was very interesting what we saw happen. I would say the first week or two, a lot of people were still in shock. A lot of people didn't believe it would last more than a couple of weeks. So we saw a lot of people kind of become paralyzed. They didn't do anything that first couple of weeks. They were kind of waiting to see what would happen. Then when it became apparent that it was going to last longer than a couple of weeks, people started panicking. And what am I going to do? I've been shut down. I have no revenue coming in, or all of the businesses that I rely on have been shut down. And now, therefore, my business is shut down and I have no revenue coming in. So then there was kind of the panic. And then there was the focus on resources. So as we know, Congress was putting together packages of relief programs very quickly. The SBA EIDL loan, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, came out, rather quickly for small businesses. And then the PPP was the next big one, the Paycheck Protection Program. And then at the state level, the MEDC brought some money down to the counties, economic development offices in the form of grants and loans. It was honestly very little money to go around. But so then there was the scramble and the panic to try and get resources, deciding, on laying off staff, using unemployment or the work share program, or, what was figuring out what is my next best step to make sure that my business can survive. Then people started to think creatively and think about, well, what can I do? And if this goes another 2 weeks, hopefully with some less stringent guidelines, but if this does go until actually be another 3 weeks till May 15th, we want to start to think creatively about what we can do to make it through to that time. So I have some examples that I wanted to get us started with. And get kind of the juices flowing. And then the idea is that we're going to help each other brainstorm partnerships that we could possibly form to help each other out, or just creative things that we can do in our businesses. So, I started out with, what does it mean to step outside the box or think outside the box? So it's thinking differently, unconventionally, or from a new perspective. And of course, we're all being forced right now to think from a new perspective, particularly given that we're supposed to stay home and not go anywhere. The term derives from the 70s and 80s when businesses or management was challenging their clients, their staff, to solve problems and think outside the box. And of course, one of the biggest things is getting out of your comfort zone. And this is one of the big things that I saw early on during this, was people being scared to step outside their comfort zone. The first couple of weeks, again, like I said, I felt like people were kind of in shock and awe and a bit paralyzed, and fearful, of course, which is understandable, and not willing yet to kind of step outside their comfort zone. I think as it became apparent that things were going to continue the way they were, and that we were going to be under the stay-at-home order longer, people started to think a little bit more about stepping outside their comfort zone. A really great example, you've all probably seen the 9-dot puzzle of how to think outside the box, is this puzzle. You know, when you look at 9 dots and you think about drawing a line through every single dot without picking up your pencil, you know, we just tend to look at that square, those 9 dots, right? And we're trying to figure out kind of like a tic-tac-toe puzzle, you know, how do I connect all of these dots without going outside the box? Well, as you can see, the point is you have to go outside that box in order to connect all of those dots without picking up your pencil one time. And using a straight line. You couldn't use circles or squiggles or anything like that. So it's just a really good example. And I know when I first saw this 9-dot puzzle, I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure out how to do it. And then once somebody showed me that I had to look outside the box, you know, I got it. The aha moment, you know, went off, and I was like, oh, you know, and a lot of great leaders will tell you, you know, you got to flip something upside down in order to look at it a different way. So I kind of just went through and picked out, you know, some good examples of how do you do it, just to kind of get our juices flowing and get us thinking. So the first one that I talked about was don't be afraid of change. You know, we have to think in a different way, and we have to operate in a different way right now. William Faulkner said, you have to kill your darlings or your sacred cows. Sometimes your sacred cows have to go in order to change and adapt to a new way of thinking and a new way of operating. Domino's during the 2009 recession changed their pizza recipe very dramatically. There were great fears that they would have a new Coke style failure and that it would be a big flop. Particularly during a recession, it was very, very risky to do that, but it took off. It paid off for them. Netflix thrived during the last recession in 08-09. As we all know, you could order DVDs by mail so that you could watch movies from the comfort of your own home. They thrived because during the recession, money got tight. People were cutting the cord. They were getting rid of their expensive cable and satellite TV, and they were ordering DVDs to watch movies at home. So they took a bad situation and they learned how they could turn it to their advantage and offer a service that was going to help people. Solve a problem. We all know this one, and this is what we all strive to do with most of our businesses every single day. We're trying to help people solve problems. What is a problem that they have that we can solve, that we can help them with? A big example is Slack. That was created by a company called Tiny Speck. They were a very small gaming company, and they actually created Slack to use internally for their own systems and processes internally. And they realized, again, it was during the last recession, that, oh my gosh, if this is helping our business internally, it can help a lot of other businesses internally. So they launched the program, calling it Slack, and became a $5 billion company. So sometimes it's looking at what you're doing internally that can help solve somebody else's problem that you could create a product out of. Just some quick examples of all kinds of things we've seen right now with solving a problem. Face masks, right? The big whole shortage of face masks. And pretty soon on Pinterest and Facebook, you started seeing all kinds of creative ways you could make a face mask. Everything from how to physically sew a face mask to just taking a bandana with 2 rubber bands and making a face mask out of it. We saw some creative ones. You probably saw panty liners, bras. So, people had a little bit of fun with that as well. There was of course, takeout service. So many of our restaurants, who didn't have takeout before now have takeout. They offer now curbside pickup. They are offering delivery. They're touting touchless You know, you pull up, you pop your trunk, they put it in the trunk. You don't even have to roll your windows down. So, you know, they've gotten very creative at continuing to serve the community and bring in some revenue. Of course, online classes, we've all been forced online. We're using things like this, Zoom, and we know our public school system. You know, teachers are now teaching online. You know, something that would have taken a tremendously long time to change in our public school system changed like overnight. So when you're forced to do something, you can do it. And we've seen that. We see stores that are open that are offering special hours for seniors or those with a compromised immune system. And then lots of creative things with, you know, drive-by birthday parties, tailgating parties where people form a circle with their vehicles and they literally pop their trunk and sit in their tailgate. So you don't get, you know, you're still social distancing, but having a tailgate. We had a driveway party for our friend's anniversary last Sunday. So we all just went and parked down the street. We met in the driveway. We stood 6 feet apart, and we toasted them for their anniversary. They were thrilled and extremely surprised because they were, you know, we have a lot of kids out there whose birthdays got canceled. And that's like the most disappointing thing in the world, you know. Another example, I'll share a couple of personal things that we've done. As all of you know, we own an ice cream shop in downtown Lake Orion. We did open last Saturday safely. One of the problems that we helped solve was the social distancing. So how do we make social distancing fun while people are waiting in line at our ice cream shop? We had some wonderful friends who came up with the clever idea of making our whole grassy area a Candyland board game. So they came and they painted signs for us with the gumdrops and the gingerbread men and everything on it. They have a start, they have a finish, and then they numbered the squares, the game board, from 17 down to 1, and then every other square has an X in it and you can't stand on the X. And so that keeps people 6 feet apart. And the kids, families have just loved it. Kids have loved it. Even when there's not a line, they like to jump through the numbers on the game board. So a creative way to solve a problem. Another one is to segment your market. And Tanya, this is where I'm using you as an example. I was talking to Tanya yesterday in our foodpreneur peer solution group, and she looked at her customer base and she realized, she knows her customer base, right? She knows that a significant amount of her customer base are elderly people and retirees. And so she quickly put together meal packages that they could order and they would deliver to them. So realizing her biggest customer base were senior citizens who you know loved coming to her tea room for lunches. She quickly put together a meal package for them. And then Tanya, didn't you share with me, didn't you then contacted their family?
Yes. So if I had in my notes certain people who I knew were adult children who maybe don't live in the area and cannot come and take care of their family, or in my newsletter, I sent a message out to everyone saying, are you an adult child who does not live nearby to take care of your family? And maybe your senior parent is not able to cook anymore, but can't go out. We will put together these meal packages for you.
Yeah. So, and that was really smart. And you'll notice she knew her customer base, and what she said, she had notes. So she kept really good records of her customers and
Type A personality.
Yeah, their behavior. Yeah. Well, it's paid off, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that's helping you get through this by offering that service. And, you know, I think something to think about too, more than actually, you know, bringing in revenue, right, which I know is extremely important. Everybody has, rent or leases to pay, expenses to pay, but you're also staying top of mind with your customers. And even though they maybe didn't take advantage of it, you contacted them about it, they heard about it, and it's helping you stay relevant to them.
Can I make a note on that? Is it okay if I,
Yeah.
just for a second? In my newsletter, I made it very personal. I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Every bit of your support is helping me stay open. Without your support, we would not be open right now. And secondly, I put my personality into it. So I might not be able to hug you, but when you come to porch pickup, I'll be staring at you really hard with a big smile on my face 6 feet away. So,
Right.
and so people responded back saying, I can't come in right now, but as soon as you open, I love that you're being very personable. A lot of people are sending information out about what they're doing about COVID, but it's just a very non-personal, this is what we're doing. We're staying clean, we're keeping 6 feet, but because you personalized it, that's why we love you. So it helps when you put a little of yourself into it.
Yes. Yes, yes. And we've been hearing that too from on Tuesday in Marilyn Trent's presentation, really talking about those personal relationships, making it personal, assuring people that you're doing things safely, you're following all the CDC guidelines, but also communicate. You have to stay in front of your clients. Even though they cannot come see you, you have to somehow stay in front of them. So that was a great example, and thank you for letting me share what you've been doing, Tanya. You can also segment your market by, geographic location, of course, physical location. Obviously, a lot of our restaurants are doing delivery, and they're, going 5 miles or 10 miles out with their delivery. So then target marketing to that 10-mile radius or whatever their delivery radius is, making sure that they are really focused on marketing to that area. You can look at your market by demographic, of course, age, gender, education level, income, occupation. As Tanya did, she realized that she had a large senior population and reached out that way. Psychographic, of course, looking at their values, personalities, interests, lifestyle, and their behavior. And of course, right now we have a lot of people, we have like these two camps, right? Like we have the people that are okay going out and they're just going to be safe about it, right? They're going to be prudent with maybe wearing a mask and washing their hands and taking hand sanitizer, and if they have to go out to the store or whatever. And then we have a whole nother part of the population that's very scared to go out at all. So how can we serve them? What can we do to help them? So turning your product into a service, I thought this was a great example, and Rent the Runway was like a perfect example of a company that did that. Of course, Rent the Runway's been around for a little while now, and we all know what they do. They deliver very expensive couture fashion by mail that you can rent. So instead of buying that $5,000 dress that you really would love to have but can no way afford, you can rent it for the weekend. So a really creative way. Another idea, another way is software that's turned into subscription services. We all subscribe, right, to many, many different programs now that we pay for on a monthly basis. We don't buy the software, get the DVD, and load it onto our computer. That is not the norm anymore. So many things we're paying for on a subscription-based basis. Of course, Uber, we all know about Uber and Lyft, versus buying a car. Many, many people in large cities are not buying cars anymore. They're using Uber and Lyft. CDs, like we talked about with Netflix. Netflix is now a subscription service. We have Spotify for music services now. We don't physically buy CDs anymore. Well, maybe some people do, but Not that many. So, and one of the big things that's come about, you know, in the last, I would say 5 years or 10 years, is this notion of the sharing economy, where consumers are hiring out things that they own. So like Airbnb, like Uber. I have a car, I'm going to be an Uber driver. I'll go out and make money, you know, in my spare time or on the weekend or whatever. Or your home, you have a vacation home, you put that up on Airbnb, you can lease that out, you can make money. Or your expertise. We've seen Upwork and other platforms like that come about. My daughter's boyfriend has a full-time job, but he picks up lots of side work on Upwork. So those are some things to kind of, that you could kind of think about too, is the sharing economy. You can focus on a product feature or an alternate use for your product. So we talked about the bandanas as face masks. You know, we know of local stores now that are buying bandanas like crazy to sell so that people can make their face masks out of them. I talked about the bra or the panty liner version. Vodka, I read an article where they're now taking milk and they can turn it into vodka. And then we've seen distilleries that are now making hand sanitizer. So, you know, they quickly realized we got to flip our model. What can we make with what we have that can solve the current problem that we're facing? We all know GM is now making ventilators. So, you know, doing whatever you can. And then the last one I added was looking for opportunities to serve. And we talk about this in a lot of our networking programs, right? Is how can you help someone else? Don't think about what's in it for you necessarily, but how can you help someone else? And of course, we've seen many, many examples of businesses helping our frontline workers, helping those in need right now through food banks, you know, neighborhood house, obviously lots of people helping neighborhood house. It's amazing to see. So who needs your product? Can you donate it? I found an opportunity, and you can find these opportunities anywhere. We have a small ice cream shop, so I couldn't donate hundreds and hundreds of you know, ice cream cones. But what I looked for were little ways that I could help. And so I saw on Facebook, random person, we were friends on Facebook, but I didn't even know this person. She was cooking meals for 8 Oakland County Sheriff's deputies who are quarantined in a hotel on Opdyke. And there were 8 of them, and she was taking them meals 3 times a week. And I went, oh, that we can do. I will provide her with dessert, because she was baking desserts for them as well. I can provide the dessert so she doesn't have to do that part. And so I just reached out to her on Facebook. I messaged her and I said, hey, we would love to donate ice cream. We'll donate our frozen batter so you can make them cupcakes, and our frozen cookie dough. And she was thrilled. She's made 3 pickups so far. And it was a simple way that we could help. And we made cute little labels that go on the top of the ice cream. It says, with love from us to you, and it has a big heart on it, and then it has our logo. And so that was an easy way we could help. Wendy Jones from Next Step for Seniors, I saw her post on Facebook. She was taking food to Ascension Providence Rochester Hospital. She came yesterday at 4. We scooped 50 ice creams for the lab department this week. So that was something, you know, that we could do. The Lake Orion Police Department reached out to us, asked if we would donate gift certificates for kids who had birthdays in March or April, who had their parties canceled, right? Their family can't come over, they can't have a birthday party like they normally would. So we donated gift certificates for them to come get a free cookie sundae once we were open, and now we're open, so they can come get their free cookie sundaes. So relationships, those relationships that you built up are really important, because that's how you can reach out and help those who are in need, and that's going to help keep you top of mind with your with your community and with your customers. Look at your best customers. What are they doing? How can you help them maybe with something they're doing? You know, maybe one of your customers is making meals for somebody in quarantine, or helping bring groceries to an elderly person. Well, how could you help them with that? So reaching out to your vendors and your clients on how you can work with them. So I am going to quit sharing my screen. Yeah, because now I can all see you all better, which I like. And I want to open it up to ideas. Like Tanya shared, you know, some of the creative things that she's doing. Does anybody else have some creative things they're doing that they want to share? And then also, if you're struggling with how can we pivot, what can we do, let's all brainstorm together, and we can help you solve that. So who has something they want to share?
I'll go first.
All right, James.
So I know a lot of companies are providing food for frontline workers, lunches and whatnot, especially the hospitals. And I feel like an under-recognized part of the frontline workers is the caretakers at the senior communities. As many of you know, I specialize in senior real estate. And one of my referral partners is Bellbrook. We're the preferred realtor over there. So today at 11 o'clock, I'm delivering food for 65 staff members of Bellbrook, along with another referral partner of mine. And we're going to drop it off at 11 today. And, you know, it's just about not only not only building new relationships, but fostering existing relationships. And I just want to, I felt like there's a lot of unrecognition of those workers. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing Bellbrook today, and then a couple of other my senior communities next week and the week after.
That's awesome, James. And I would be very happy to donate ice cream if you do another. I had actually written down, I talked to Libby Delaney a couple of days ago, and you know, another kind of segment, our frontline workers are getting a lot of attention and a lot of, you know, donated food and treats and things, which is awesome. But there's also kind of the office, the leadership, the administration that are totally burned out as well and working harder than ever. Kind of the behind the scenes folks that are just struggling as well. And so I had actually written down to do something for the administration at Bellbrook. And at Ascension as well, because Chris Palazzolo, the CEO, is on our board, and I know he's as stressed as everybody else is. So thank you, James.
Sure.
Lisa, you're next.
Okay, I actually have been doing Adopt a Frontline Worker program. My second job that I've done for years and years and years came out with some good incentives that I was able to turn around and do a community outreach, and I was totally overwhelmed at the response. I put up, and you guys have probably seen it all over Facebook, where you could adopt a frontline worker by purchasing a Tupperware soup mug for $6. They're regularly $10 a piece. And I have those in, and then I also, people who donated, I asked where did they want to go. So these soup mugs are going to hospitals, they're going to senior centers, they're going to fire stations, ambulance, universal ambulance, somebody wanted to donate to. And what they're getting is they're getting a Tupperware soup mug, which also for nurses and people with their masks, they can use it to sanitize their mask. But with that, they're getting a can of soup, they're getting a homemade mask. I partnered with Wish Upon a 3D Star, and she made these headbands so that you can wear the headband and wear your mask without putting it over your ears to save your ears. And then some chocolate that I got, and I'm making these bags, and they say thank you, and they're going to be delivered this weekend.
That's awesome.
Yes, over 300 bags.
Wow, 300.
Yes.
That's awesome. Anybody else?
Part of my services that I've been pushing, because I've always worked on client locations, I'm pushing virtually that I can help you with your everyday to-do list or tasks that you have or emails, and we can work through Google Docs. So I'm really pushing that my services are available to you virtually, and that it's just as easy to work with me physically as it is virtually. So it's one of those things that I put out on Facebook or my LinkedIn profile about the services that I can offer, and that it's a very easy transition for me to work with somebody virtually. So I've really been understanding that, and I was part of Lisa's program of giving back to a frontliner, as my father was a fireman. So I've been involved in the fireman policeman family for a number of years, and I was thrilled to death when Lisa brought up this program that she was doing. And I told her I wish I could get some way to help her, because she's loading all these cups, and it's just, you know, the little things like you mentioned, the little things that you're doing for the frontliners is very important, because they are risking their lives every day. And it's touching to see everybody reaching out like they are.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Kim Lowe.
Sorry, I had myself on mute. One thing that we are doing at Save On is we do have a digital microsite, so we're promoting all restaurants that are still doing carry out or delivery. So if you know of somebody that's still doing that, we are promoting them at no cost. And I try to regularly go out and get carry out from some local restaurants, because they are still struggling. They've had to cut staff, and hopefully some restrictions will be renewed today, if not sooner, that we can start opening up some of these businesses. Because I know personally, on the call that we did yesterday, there were a lot of businesses that still are financially struggling. So
That's right. That's right. Have you seen, Kim, have you seen with your business, has your ad revenue gone down?
you know, we pushed our April issue that should have hit mid-April to come out May 3rd. And then our May issue is coming out after Memorial Day. Hopefully everything will subside and mandates will be lifted. There have been some industries, obviously house cleaning, haircut places that did get canceled. We're trying to be respectful to those industries. But then there's other clients of mine that still want to plant seeds. People are in their homes, they're going to have more time to read publications. I know some of my friends who work for competitive magazines or newspapers or what have, they've actually closed down and aren't publishing, which is kind of disappointing, because I know like local newspapers I think are still important. I know you can still get a lot of news online, but it's just a lot of negative. And I really think we need to start pushing out the positive stuff that we're doing, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I sent something out to my coworkers this morning about a Good News Friday. I became a grandma on Monday. So yeah, so you know, there is things to be thankful for. I was kind of thankful that I couldn't go to the hospital, you know, because a lot of times you go to the hospital, you can get exposed to things. But you know, thank goodness to video chats, I was able to see the baby the day he was born. So it's just, you know, we can all get in these slumps like that we're not okay, but there are things to be grateful for. And just picking up the phone, because my coworkers are like, I don't want to call anybody to try and sell them ads. Well, don't call them to sell them an ad, call them to see how they're doing, you know, and keep that line of hope. I was teasing that, I think it was 2 weeks into the stay at home thing, I talked to my dog and I go, Piper, how have you been doing this for 14 years? I can't even do 14 days, you know, so humor is really important.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Who else wants to share or needs some help brainstorming?
I'd like to just kind of play off what everybody's talking about, right? I mean, what a great time to be creative. And I keep hearing the word pivot.
Mm-hmm.
You pivot, you move in a different direction. you know, the downtime is a great time to give back for sure. I mean, what a blessing, in whatever way that is, right? We're all doing it in a different way. I've been in a small group for about 4 years. We've been meeting at 6 a.m., but now because of this, we get to meet at 7 a.m. But you know, with that conversation, there's one of the guys in the small group was talking about a lady. She's a single parent. She's over in Benton Harbor. I don't know if y'all have been to Benton Harbor, but there's a lot of, you know, I mean, you don't have to look far to see where people need help. And she has 5 children. So with that conversation, none of us know her, including Steve, but he had made a decision, kind of put it out there on our hearts, that he's going to leave Saturday morning. We're all gonna, you know, we're gonna give what we can give based off our contribution, and he's gonna drive out there, right? And just like they don't even have a place, the way I was understanding, to even sleep on when it comes to mattresses, because things are just happening like that in their lives. So I think if we listen to our heart, you know, sometimes they don't, you know, I'm all about supporting community because it's huge, but sometimes, right, somebody brings something up and if we can make a difference, that matters. And I want to mention that because we're all doing it and there's different ways of doing it.
Yeah, yes, exactly. What about Anita? How are you doing?
I found a little bit of a challenge personally doing well, thanks, just taking it in stride. There's, you know, every day what I've focused on is how much there is to be grateful for. Mm-hmm. And that has kept me in a space of, you know, understanding what's happening out there, having the compassion and empathy for people that have personally been impacted by this, whether by you know, the disease itself or the, you know, loss of a job, all those kinds of things. But at the same time, instead of getting caught up in the fear and the panic and the, oh my goodness, each day is, what do I have in my world today to be grateful for? Mm-hmm. And there's so much. Mm-hmm. So staying in that focus, I know that I can be of better help to someone else than putting out fear and panic. And I've been doing coaching with people that are comfortable doing it from their homes, either over the phone or Zoom, that kind of thing. But I think a lot of my clients too don't want to do it because they're in a house full of people and they don't perhaps have that privacy to just want to be able to have a coaching session. So that's been a little bit of a challenge on that end. But as I said, I've had enough to keep me so busy and occupied that I haven't even really focused much on, oh my goodness, I'm not doing as much coaching as I've done, you know, prior to all of this. But I've got some good ideas from the discussion here today on ways to reach out and whom to reach out to and that kind of thing. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's wonderful. I'm glad. That's what the whole goal of today was, to share ideas, help each other out, you know, however we can. I'm going to call on somebody else. Bill, do you want to share anything?
Sure. First of all, thank you very much for coordinating this. This is the first chamber Zoom meeting I've been in, and I'm tremendously encouraged by everything you've put together, the examples, Alaina, and what people are doing. We did something similar. We're a service company that help companies better communicate who they are. And the word pivot, Dennis, you mentioned, I mean, yeah, it is an awesome word, and I've been using it constantly. I'm realizing, that's going to be one of those overused words, but it's still such a powerful word mentally for you to reposition yourself to communicate effectively. I was just talking to a marketing guy in Oceanside, California, by Carlsbad, and he was saying he's just very connected. He said, Bill, you know, more people are online now than they have ever been, and he gave me some percentages, and he said, if you come off in the least bit at all where you don't acknowledge what's going on in the world, you don't have to, I mean, it's a recognition that we are, yes, all in the same position, but you don't want to come off in any way, shape, or form salesy. Like, here, well, let us, you know, here's what we can do for you now while you're, it's the idea that I just heard somebody say, you're not coming to sell, you're coming to save. And she had an acronym for, you know, what it means to save. But I think the idea of really, he said, if you can just make sure your messaging is sensitive to where they are, you're not salesy, and if you can offer, like you were saying, offer something pro bono, offer something free, something you might not otherwise in a situation like this be able to provide, do that. Go from the position of building that relationship and maintaining. I just, this is really, really good stuff that you guys have been sharing. I also watched, I don't know if you guys saw it, a Simon Sinek video that these are not unprecedented times. Did you see that? Did anybody? Google it on YouTube. It's tremendously encouraging. These are not unprecedented times, and that word I've heard just as much as pivoting almost. But anyway, it is a time to reinvent yourself, and we are all creative, and we can all do that. But anyway, this is really, really good stuff. The idea of a personal invitation, being personal. Kim, I think it was, who shared that, or Tanya. Spot on. If it's personal, if it's coming from you, if it is real, sincere, people can tell that. They can tell if you're, what's the front? They're waiting. You know, there's that real, genuine, I want to help. And if that's the real deal, yeah. I struggle with, I don't want to push myself to be top of mind. You know, I don't want to come off as in any way, shape, or form with a hook. That's my struggle. I was telling you, Alaina, early. I just feel like I just don't want to come off salesy in any way. So I think just being the real deal makes all the difference in the world. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks, though, for doing this. This is good stuff.
Yes,
What was that called that you said to listen to?
Simon Sinek.
Yeah,
Simon Sinek.
These are not unprecedented times. If you Google Simon Sinek and it'll pull it up, and try not to be distracted with the bearded guy and the wig and the little thing and his crown. If I block that out, I can hear what he's saying. But it's his team, and so he's got these people from all walks of life. So whatever.
Thank you.
That's just
I'm gonna put the link in the chat right now for you.
Cool.
There you go. There's the link to it in the chats box. I think Pat wanted to.
Yeah, hi everybody. Yeah, I have a little different. I have a little different spin, and we have 2.
Yes.
That's all right.
You know, I think more than anything from Neighborhood House point of view, if all of you have good hearts, and I think all of you want to do something special, but you just don't know where to go or how to do it. What a great opportunity to contribute your time, your effort, maybe a donation to Neighborhood House. We have been experiencing a tremendous upsurge in dollars that are coming into the organization because of people like yourselves. And that money then goes back into the area in terms of buying dairy and eggs and milk and things like that we can't get on a daily basis. You can tell by the title of this video. So I would ask all of you, if you want to do something and you just don't know what to do, what an easy way of contributing into our organization and your community. Again, if you want to give your time, maybe you want to put some time in at our food pantry. That would be a wonderful thing. If you want to contribute clothing, once this whole thing gets lifted, these clothes goes directly into our clothes closet, which is in downtown Rochester. And again, if you want to contribute from a monetary point of view, or gift cards or gas cards, whatever the point is, it's truly up to you, but we are more than willing to take your donation. Our corporate office on Livernois is opened. It's manned by one person right now. Kathy's there, who's our director. Our food pantry is, of course, open, and we've experienced a dramatic upsurge in terms of cars and families that are coming through. Our clothes closet, unfortunately, is closed right now and has been for the last number of weeks. So anyhow, I throw this out to all of you. You all have good hearts. You all have empathy for other people, or you wouldn't be on this call today. Just a great opportunity to give back to the community in a very, very meaningful way. And again, thank you so much for putting this on. What a great hour to spend with all of you. A lot of great information being shared. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for talking about Neighborhood House. I know that you guys are working harder than ever right now, in providing such an essential things, you know, for those in our community who are in great need right now. We'll go to the other Pat.
Good morning. One thing that I did, I'm part of a group at the OPC, the Senior Center, and I set up a Zoom meeting for those of us who regularly meet on Friday. And many of the seniors hadn't exposed themselves to Zoom before. So we set up a trial session on Tuesday. I also offered them an individual so they could load Zoom on their computer. And it was just because I know a lot of these, they're all women, are alone, living alone, and they don't see faces. But I'm realizing now they're learning how to do Zoom if they need a doctor's appointment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can do that. And then with your sales now, if you're not able to meet with a person, you know, live, if you have a meeting, you can send them a Zoom meeting. And so having people who weren't technically capable of this is great to have them be able to interface in a meeting like this. So it's kind of, the capability is good to have people know how to do Zoom, like we're all learning.
Yes, yes, exactly. And we know, right, there's so many people alone in their homes, completely. And it's, you know, their family is not close enough to even come check on them if they wanted to.
The worst part about that is they're watching the negative news almost 24/7.
Yeah.
So it's really, really increasing their loneliness when they see all the negativity. I know for a fact, you know, my father-in-law is like that. He's living alone right now.
But as it gets to a point where the businesses and services are selling, if you connected on a personal level at first,
right,
and you say, can we do a Zoom call versus over the phone, that personal connection that you guys are stressing is really a way to do it. Just even with one person to meet with them and talk, if we can't get together yet, could be valuable.
Right. That's exactly right. This is a difficult time. And I think, like Bill said, it's not an unprecedented time. I was listening to Michigan radio yesterday, and there's a gentleman 2 years ago, he started a project. He has gone back and dug up newspaper articles from the 1918 flu pandemic. Mm-hmm. And he has been reading those articles out loud and recording that in kind of a digitized bit of a voice. You can kind of tell it's a little digitized. But it was unbelievable what they were printing in the newspaper, the fear mongering, the things that it's like, whoa, our situation sounds a lot better compared to what it was then. And of course, so many people didn't have any access to healthcare. We didn't have near the number of hospitals or doctors that we do today. You know, so many people in rural areas with unclean water, no sanitary sewer systems. You know, it's part of why it spread so fast, is because we didn't have those types of systems as good as they are today. But anyway, I'm glad you brought that up, Bill, about the Simon Sinek. These aren't unprecedented times. So who else? Maggie.
I just wanted to let you guys know, I posted it in the chat, but some of the other people that I've been in touch with that need a little bit of kind of the unsung heroes are the workers and employees at 2 of our local funeral homes at Pixley and Modette's. Those guys are struggling also. They're at the other end of this. The healthcare workers have my total respect because my daughter's one of them, but they sometimes get to see the happier note of this. The people at Pixley and Modette's are seeing the very end. And again, if you guys are looking for any way to give back, please let me know. Contact me. I work very closely with all of the nonprofits in the area. I can guide you a little bit if so needed. And Bill, I sent you a chat. Don't think about it as a sales call. Jill has been calling every one of our 800 members, and we're not calling them to talk about dues or, what we can, what we need out of them. It's a check-in call. It's to check in and see how they're doing and what we can do for them. I mean, I've been typing out emails frantically this morning before we got on this call, and I lovingly refer to this as the extended chamber, here at the Bobbitt's home, the new office. So we just have to roll with it. Alaina will tell you I'm not a big one for change, but I've definitely learned how to do it gracefully. So
You're doing great, Maggie.
I would also like to add to that, we talked about this as a team, this idea of struggling to sell during this time, and do you push, your dues or not? But I would say that if you still are fulfilling a need, a service, or like solving a problem through this time, then you're totally fine to ask your customers and remind them of the things that you can do for them, because you're helping them, you're serving them. Also with that, we will be pushing out later an opportunity to support Bellbrook. So that will go out in the emails after this. So it's a really great opportunity. It's a win-win for your business if you're interested in partnering with them. So be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. So does anybody have, I know we're a little after an hour. Does anybody have anything else they need help with?
I have a question, especially for our media people. One of the things that I've been struggling a little bit with is I had a sold out event that we were supposed to do a Sound of Music sing-along tea. Everyone was going to dress up. It was sold out. I did not cancel it. I postponed it. And I can only keep postponing it as long as possible. Somebody had paid, everyone, it's a prepay, no refund type event. But people have started calling me and saying, I paid for 5 tickets. That's like $100 and something. I'd like my money back. Well, then my response, I'm trying to as nicely try to say, we are going to extend this. As soon as we know dine-in is open, we're going to do it. I've even thought about doing an online one where we will deliver all of the food to you and then we'll get on Zoom and do it. But some people are saying, we want our money back. And my response, and I don't know if it was right or wrong to do this, is I had to use your money to pay my rent. I don't physically have the cash to pay you back right now. I don't know if that's setting a negative, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing by just being honest with them and telling them that, because my landlady is still requiring that I pay my rent on time. I have to use a certain portion of whatever money I have received for payroll and show proof that I'm using it for payroll. So that money I'm using is from whatever little bit I had left from paying in advance for tickets. So advice, how do I handle? Yeah.
Again, I think being honest is the best way. Just, explain it. People understand, and if they don't understand it, I'm sorry. But right now, these are unprecedented times that we're going through. And, even with my sponsors and stuff with the magazine, I'm working with them because they have other obligations as well. I would just say be honest and say, let them know you're going to postpone it and, take it from there. I know with my Women's Life group, our bacon raffle we turned it into a virtual event. We did have some people that demanded their money back, but they were few and far between. So maybe this might be, see how much they give you pushback.
What
The
about
other thing
maybe
you could do is offer a gift card for future food.
I did that.
We take it case by case because, like, for instance, one of my business is absolutely closing. They still have payroll. We're working with people on their, past due, and we're just trying to be as humanly kind as possible. You are going to have people that are adamant, and I would just figure out, something that you can do for those specific people. But most people have been so kind and understanding that I've dealt with, because we are all, human and we all have responsibilities, but, you could offer them a gift card for your services and your product.
That's a great
I offered
idea.
that. I offered that. They wanted me to take money out of my personal account and pay them back.
Yeah, that's probably rare. It's probably, it's that 80-20 rule. So, I mean,
I didn't do it. I just said, I'm so sorry. I will get back in touch with you.
Tanya, this is Jean.
Yes.
When you come into that situation, having a accounts receivable background and dealing with clients who can be rather negative, I think what I would do is if you can kind of give a window on when you think you're going to do your program.
Oh, I gave a date.
Discount it. I would discount it and say, I can work it out where I can give you back 50% as soon as I have some cash coming in. I agree with Lisa. The more honest you are, the better, because you can present what you're up against. You're going to have those who are going to be real adamant about it. But I think I would look towards either, discounting it or going like what Kim said, because to $100 at this stage of the game to some people is very, very important, and to others they could care. So I think you need to kind of like make a list of how many people you have that are being adamant about returning their money, and then look at it, and I would discount it.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else need some advice from the group?
Miss Tanya, you need to call me on my cell, and from the person whose events have absolutely turned upside down in the last month and a half, we'll work out a plan so that, even for future events, okay?
Thank you.
Give me a call either today or Monday.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good.
It'll have to be after I drink my wine.
Yeah, Fieldstone Winery has delivery. I heard Maggie got a big delivery.
Yep.
So, Pat from Funky Frog, I'm going to call on you. You've been quiet. Do you want to share anything or ask anything?
No, I've just been listening.
Renee, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's no problem. I know I have been quiet because I know that most of you all are chamber members, and I kind of was and not.
It's okay.
But
We're here to help everybody, Renee. We're here to help
I
everybody.
appreciate that. I'm kind of multitasking here, but listening to you guys, I've been okay. I was one of those people that froze for the first month, and I said, I'm taking this as a mandatory vacation, and I enjoyed myself and my family and just relaxed. Now the weather's turned yucky, and I'm getting back on the horse here. I have just been plowing home the live videos, basically selling the store online. And we were doing that once a week. Now I'm like, today I have 3 different sessions planned, and to basically, I'm showing every single piece of clothing over the last week and this week. And we are pivoting like others and adding, I'm stepping into new territory after 10 years of owning the store. I'm succumbing to the online world, and I am invoicing online, shipping, and getting in the process of setting up an online store through my software provider that does my inventory module. And so I am growing and stretching and trying new things myself. You know, where I've been helping other businesses, I was helpful with, I kind of coached through Chloe's mentor, who did her first live video yesterday, and supported her by doing a lot of, I can highly recommend any of you, and then tell your friends or anybody, if you watch somebody's video, whether it's your favorite yoga person's doing online shows or your favorite stores showing you something, do a watch party. I can't tell you how important the watch parties are. When you do a watch party, your friends all start to see it. They drop in, they get exposed to something. They may stick it out. They may start shopping or just participate and get to know that person to do future business. And even if you don't want to stay in the watch party, when you exit, there is the opportunity to leave the watch party but have it continue without you. So you can continue on your Facebook world, and it's running behind the scenes. I took her Facebook yesterday, watched it myself for about an hour to help her out or to give her feedback. And then I shared it on my personal page as well as my business page, because I knew my moms might be interested in her Lululemon collection. And she did have some frog people purchase from her. So it was really helpful to share across the businesses by sharing through a watch party. And then if you have something to sell, I noticed Lana yesterday next door at the Who, she's just started doing live videos also selling her things. And yesterday she was showing her scarf collection and how to use them as masks and other things. So she's like, again, using her products and twisting them around to benefit the customers, but also to, you know, show some value, not just sell. So if you have something you can offer, some information, do an informational video, tell your peers here in the chamber or anywhere, and have them just tune in. And even if they can't stay with you, if they tune in and hit the share button, then watch party, they can then exit their own watch party and leave it running on their personal page or business page while they go off and do other stuff. So that I've found this, you know, has been super important to me. And, you know, my folks have been very supportive, happy to pay the shipping, happy to sit for 3 to 4 hour videos watching so they can see their size and section of the store. So I'm learning and tweaking it to make it easier for my customers, but also it's working, you know, it's working. They'll get us through.
Renee, I am so glad that you brought that up. I did not know, I've done watch parties, but I did not know that you could leave your watch party, so to speak.
When you exit it'll ask you, do you want to cancel or discontinue or something? And then the other one is to just leave and it'll stay going.
That's awesome. And I know I've jumped on some watch parties, and I'm glad you brought up the whole, I started doing for our other business, Sprout Bake. We sell a frozen gluten-free batter. It's available at the Cheese Lady in Rochester and at Lucky's in downtown Lake Orion. I started doing a Facebook Live on Sunday nights at 7. So the very first week I did a Facebook Live and I showed people all the different things that they could make with our batter. So they can make muffins, they can make cupcakes, quick breads, coffee cakes. My daughter made me my birthday cake. My birthday was in March, and she made my birthday cake out of our frozen batter. And so I just showed people all the creative ways they could use our product. And so every Sunday night I've been doing this Facebook Live, which is outside my comfort zone. I know you guys think I love speaking in front of crowds and getting up there. I don't. I hate it. My heart feels like it's going to beat out of my chest. But it has forced me to do something I'm not comfortable with, that I didn't want to do, because I I knew I needed to stay in front of people. And so we learned how to use OBS. It's a free program that you can download, and Zoom. And then we started bringing in guests. So last week I had my first guest, which was Lisa Jensta, who owns Freedom Kitchen up in Oxford. They're part of our chamber and they are in our food entrepreneur group. And she and I learned how to do a split screen through OBS and Zoom on Facebook Live. My son figured it out, actually. Yay for 19-year-old sons who are very techie. And so I had her on as a guest. And then this Sunday night, I have Kim Urbanowski, who used to be director of the Orion Area Chamber, has the Urban Gourmet, and she's going to be on showing how to use our batter in another way. And so by doing that, what Renee said, she was working with the WHO, I think it was WHO.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Now you're cross promoting. So now you're getting exposure with all of their social media and your social media. So my first Facebook Live I did, I think, is up to 2,000 views now, which is absolutely unbelievable, just phenomenal. I'm thrilled with 2,000 views. So do those types of things. Can you do a Facebook Live with something that can help people? Because like has been mentioned before, everybody's online right now. Everybody's on social media right now because they don't have anything else to do.
Right.
And let's give them positive stuff.
There's a pent-up demand for certain things. I mean, my family's, obviously, their kids are growing and spring is coming, season's changing. So, I mean, they're gobbling up stuff, and I'm showing them stuff that normally in my weekly videos, I'd only show the high-end new arrivals, things that are, not your basic pair of navy shorts or a t-shirt with a character on it. I'm showing everything because they need t-shirts, they need pajamas, they need shorts. And all my sales, the sales I'm doing are like, $40, $50 that have to be packaged up to go. And we're not talking about buying a $2.99 shirt and wasting my time. It's actually been a good thing. So we'll see, because now that my next challenge is what, when we're talking about how to handle reopening, because I can't accept new inventory, and that whole thing about people who you got to build the customer's confidence that you are doing things correctly, because my products come from people's homes. My thought is the customers are going to be a little nervous about what's on those things that I've taken in, and is it safe to buy them? So I'm already coming up with a plan on quarantining incoming merchandise from people that consign with me, and it'll be quarantined in-house under my supervision, not assuming that the person did have it in their own home in a tub for 2 weeks or the last 2 months or whatever, and then putting it on the floor after an in-store quarantine, and then just really communicating over and over that everything in the store is safe to purchase, hasn't been exposed to people, hopefully, that have the illness asymptomatically or whatever the latest science says. So.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you for sharing. All right, anything else? Anybody wanna?
Okay, what is OBS?
I'm just typing it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
For you. But it is it's called Open Broadcaster System, and it's a free open source software that you can download for video recording and live streaming. I will say it's a little bit, if you're not used to video production software, it's a little bit difficult to learn. I watched some YouTube videos and learned quite a bit. I learned how to put my logo up in the background on the screen. I'm not getting into some of the fancier stuff. You can do a ticker tape at the bottom. You can have your logo flip in and flip out. You can do transitions. You can do scene transitions. I haven't gotten that fancy yet. I've created some of that stuff, but I've been nervous to actually use it live.
Do you want to do like a tester with some of us?
Yes, I would love to. Lisa and I did the first one with Lisa last week, and we managed to make it work. You should have seen the background in my home. Like, what you see in the scene is like perfect and looks all pretty and nice, and then everything was a mess all around there. And I had my husband, he was holding up he was writing people's names on a giant pad of paper and holding them up so I could do shout outs, because I can't see the screen. You know, I can't see the comments on the Facebook Live. My daughter was on her laptop answering questions in the comment section and responding to people. My son, we had this laptop set up filming, and then we had another big screen hooked up to it where he was like monitoring, you know, and making sure that, you know, everything was technically going all right. It was hilarious. My whole family turned into this production crew.
So note to self, child labor.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was really funny. And I mean, I was so stressed out the first 2 or 3 times. I've been just really, like, going live, there's just something about going live. I don't know what it was. And I talk in front of 500 people, you know, but this was more nerve-wracking to me than getting up at Pinnacle in front of 500 people and speaking. I don't know why, but because it's new, it's different.
Can you put the link up because I'd like to see that on Sunday?
Yes. Yeah, go to my, it's on our Sprout Bake page on Facebook. It's called Sprout Bake. And then we share it to Cookies and Cream, which is our other Facebook page. And then I share it on my page as well. And you can go to Sprout Bake and see our past 3 live streams. I didn't manage to do one this last Sunday night. I was going to do it at the ice cream shop. But we were really busy, which was great, at the ice cream shop. And I couldn't handle it.
What's the name of your store, Alaina?
Cookies and Cream.
Okay.
So it's in downtown Lake Orion. So our little family business. So, all right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being with us today. It was so nice to connect with everybody. And like I said before, amazing to see faces and share and brainstorm. Everybody's doing amazing things out there. And please, if you are doing amazing things, and share them in our members only Facebook group, and then also in our
Supporting Local Businesses group.
Supporting Local Businesses group on Facebook as well. That is set up. Supporting Local Businesses, that group is set up to help you. To let you be able to talk about what you're doing, what you're offering, what are the services or products you're offering right now, how can you help solve people's problems. That's what it's there for. So, all right, you guys, and don't forget